If you'd like to support this channel, we invite you to check us out on Patreon. Thank you so much. Hey guys, so I've been digging around up front, digging my trenches, putting out the design that Rainbird put together, and it dawned on me, you know, I better make sure that these heads are placed out in a way that I get head-to-head coverage and everything works the way it should. And I'm not saying that because Rainbird would have designed it wrong, I'm saying that because I am adding to and readjusting things that are already existing in the front lawn. So rather than just reading the specs of the sprinkler that say they'll shoot 30 feet, 32 feet, I thought, why don't we put it to the test and see what it does? So that's what I'm gonna do tonight, is I'm gonna set up a little test rig here I have, and the results have been actually impressive. I've already tried this out, and so I think you're gonna wanna stick around and see what happens. All right, so let me take a minute and walk you through the setup here. What I have is a one inch main line coming from my front of the street at the front of the property up here. And down along the way, it converts to a 3/4 PVC line, and it goes to a hose bib. Now this hose bib is separate from my home. It doesn't run in through the house like most hose bibs do. This one particular one is completely separate. So it's 3/4 to there. Then I have a 3/4 hose coming down here, not the 5/8 like you have for most homes. This one I bought intentionally to be 3/4 so I could get more water volume out here. And let me tell you, you'd be amazed at the difference between a 5/8 hose and a 3/4 hose. So I have no restrictions coming down through here. I have an underhill ball valve. And what's special about those is they are a golf course brand, and inside that ball valve, there's no restriction. It's a true 3/4 through there, where most of the ball valves you're gonna buy at the box store, they have a real small ball inside, so it restricts your flow significantly. So this one's true all the way through. I got 3/4 PVC, and then this sprinkler head here is a 42 SA that Rainbird provided me to do this installation with. They gave me 42 SA and 32 SAs, which are the residential models of some of the Pro line. So we're gonna try these out. And I also have it coming up on a 3/4 riser. It's a 3/4 inlet for this rotor. And so it's 3/4 all the way through. There's no restrictions. I've got really good flow volume through here. And so what I wanna do is I wanna test this out to see how it compares against the design that Rainbird gave me. And I'll show you guys, walk you through those steps and the results. We'll measure it out and I'll show you what it does. Then I also want to test it with not only a 3/4 nipple, but with a 3/4 swing joint. And the reason I'm trying to test the swing joint is in some areas of my lawn, there's so much rock underneath this property that we're at that I can't get the lateral lines deep enough to get the rotor installed properly. And I mean, I'm talking like an inch or two difference here, but I can't get the pipe deep enough to get the rotor down below grade like it needs to be for the lawn. So in some cases I'm gonna have to use these swing joints, and I want to make sure that the swing joint does not impact the performance of this rotor if I'm going to use these in this new installation. So with that, let's get started and I'll show you what we're going to test out first. All right, so to kick this one off, what I have in here is a 2.0 nozzle and a 42 SA rotor. And what the 2.0 is set for in my design is that's going to be a 180 on the property. So that's the most common, you know, for my layout. I've got several 180s, I've got a few 90s with 1 360 out of the whole design. So that's why I'm going to go with that just to test this out tonight. So the 2.0 and a 42 SA, they show that at 45 PSI, that's one thing I forgot to mention. My main line is about 75 PSI, so I'm a little heavy right now, and I'll actually be using some pressure regulated valves in the design, but tonight this is coming 75 PSI. It might be 70 or so, given it's in the evening, may even be 65, but we've got plenty of pressure and plenty of water volume coming through that 3/4. And so at this 2.0, we should get 2 gallons a minute, and it should shoot a radius of 36 feet. That's the thing I want to know. Does it actually shoot 36 feet? Because so many times in the past on old homes I've had, you know, the sprinkler says it'll shoot that far, and it shoots maybe half of that distance. So I want to make sure that this does what's supposed to. So let's fire this off. You'll notice the backyard's still dirt, but it's actually perfect for this test because you'll be able to see the water, you'll see where it lands, you'll see how everything lays out. So let's kick this off, let it run for a minute so you can see the dirt turn to mud, and I'll measure it out for you. All right, so we're gonna let that run for a little bit and get kind of the pattern laid out in the dirt so you guys can see it better. But while this is running, I thought I'd take a minute to talk about this rotor. So Rainbird provided me a 42 SA and a 32 SA rotors, which are the residential line of rotors. And I've never used those before. I've always used the Pro Grade, which is the 3500. That's what I had on my putting green. And then I've also used the 5000s for larger areas. I didn't have that at the old home, but at my parents' lawn, where we have over an acre, we've got 5000 rotors there. So I'm familiar with the Pro lines. So these are new to me. So some things I've noticed about this is, in comparison to the Pro rotor, I've been very impressed. This has a very strong seal. It has a very strong spring. The build quality of it's been really good. And so it's not at all what I expected, because usually when I see residential line, I kind of go, you know, because most of the time residential lines are cheap, right? But this really isn't in comparison. And I'll do another video where I compare this to a 5000 rotor, and they're very similar, and you'll be surprised. So I really like the quality of it, but what I like too about them is, you know, for a rotor, they're real quiet. I know that seems kind of silly. What do you care about the noise level of irrigation? But they are quiet in how they operate. They don't put out a lot of noise. They don't put that hissing that's usually in a lot of them. So they operate real quietly. So that's been kind of nice. But the thing I've been most impressed with is this rain curtain technology that Rainbird uses. And that's why when I went to go pick irrigation, Rainbird was at the top of my list, because I've used this rain curtain technology on my putting green. And something that you guys have asked me about before is, do you have dead spots and dead rings around your rotors? And the answer is no. And that's what's real special about this rain curtain technology design. You can see right here at the base of the rotor, it's already wet from us having this running for just a few minutes here. And I'll show you guys, I'll back up and show you the spray pattern to show you exactly what that rain curtain technology is, and just how even it is. Because I usually see two things with most rotors, and that is, you'll have a dead spot around the rotor, and you'll have a green ring on the outside perimeter where the trajectory of the water lands. And you just don't have a good even coverage with most rotors. So I typically don't like rotors for that reason. But I gotta say, with Rainbird's rotors, it's a good choice, because that makes a huge difference in how well this shoots and the coverage that you get. So, like I mentioned earlier, back to our test, I've got a 2.0 nozzle in here. I'll do 2 gallons a minute, because in most of my design, that's for a 180. So now that this has been running for a while, the dirt's dark. I can show you guys what it is and how far it's been shooting. And I've got my measuring wheel, and I'll show you guys just how far this goes. So based on the design of a 2.0, it's supposed to shoot a radius of 36 feet. So let's put it to the test and see how we did. All right, so I came over here and measured 36 feet. I've got a line in the dirt here. And to be fair, we do have a little bit of a headwind coming in tonight out of the south, like normal. But that's reality, right? We're not in a test environment, and that's what I wanted to see. Will it actually do 36 feet on a normal, calm evening? And I gotta say, it's pretty close. It does technically shoot 36 feet, but it shoots more consistently, more like 34 feet or so. So with that test, that proves to me that this will work out perfect in our design. You could easily do a 30-foot spacing and get head-to-head coverage with an even spray pattern, and you'd be okay with these 42 SAs. So far, I've been really impressed with these. So the next thing I want to test out, like I mentioned, was that swing joint. Let's put it in, let's see if it impacts the trajectory of this, and if so, how much, so we can decide where we want to use those or not. You set shoot up like that, that cleans out the port, so it makes sure everything, all the debris, if there's any debris in there from like sand from top dressing, dirt just from going up and down, it'll shoot all that out the top to keep these rotors clean. So that's a nice feature to have. So what we're going to do is take out this 3/4 nipple, right quick and add in a 3/4 swing joint. And you guys have asked me if I use tripods before, and I don't. I just built this out of 3/4, nothing to it. You see it's just a T with some caps, a T, and another T with a thread on it, 3/4 inlet, and a hose inlet here. So those have worked out fine for me for what we're doing here, because I don't have a lawn. So if I was in a bigger area, I'd probably want a tripod or something larger. All right, so what these swing joints are designed to do, if you imagine your lateral line coming in here, is you can bend this down. So I can get below grade, you can see that. I can get below grade, so if I take like a pickaxe and dig out a hole right here where some of that rock is, I can get below grade, or I can do the opposite. You know, over time, thatch and things start to build, and so your rotors get lower and lower in the grass. So instead of having to repipe and do things in a complicated manner, you can just raise a swing joint. That's what they're intended for. But I'm also interested in them for the front, where people tend to park off the side of the road. And so what's happened to the previous ones, I can tell because the PVC's been broken. The car runs over the top of it, breaks that nipple, breaks the PVC. So in this setup, car runs over the top, and it might sink a little bit, but it'll give. And so that'll not break here, and that's what's real nice about swing joints. And you see a lot of that on golf courses because of heavy equipment, and also because after they top dress, they sometimes need to move rotors up and down. They're a lot larger than this, they're more solid pipe, but that's what swing joints are for. So what I want to do is test this swing joint. I'm going to set it off to the side like this. I'm also going to brace it a little bit so it doesn't want to kick back on me. Yeah. Let's fire this up and make sure it's level. Let's make sure we shoot it the right way, huh? This is what I mean. See how that starts to creep backwards? You want to make sure it's level. Okay, so you can kind of see a setup here. Rain curtain technology happening. Shooting to what seems to be about the same distance. Let's go out there and check it out. All right, so what I actually did is, it was getting hard to see the dark dirt over dark dirt, if that makes sense. So I went and rotated that rotor to come this way a little bit more. And I don't know if you can tell it yet. I've been letting it run for a little while, but we're getting the same radius out here as we were before. So still consistent with probably 32, 34 feet, somewhere in there, over 36. But even with that swing joint, I'm still getting the same radius, and that's what I wanted to see. I want to make sure that if I add those in, I'm not going to impact the performance of these rotors. So again, like I said before, for residential line, these are really pretty heavy duty. They're pro grade in my opinion. I've been really impressed with the 42 SA. No impact with the swing joint, so for me it's gonna work out great. So that's about as scientific as it gets, guys. As long as you got the right flow rate, the right amount of pressure, a nice little setup here, just put it to the test. So I've been really pleased with these. I realize it's just one rotor, but if you do it properly, you put the correct amount of rotors with the correct amount of gallons per minute on the line that it can support, the results are going to be the same. So I've been really impressed with these 42 SAs, and I can't say enough thanks to Rainbird for all their help and support. I can't thank their design team enough for working with us to help us integrate what we have at the front, but also building out a whole new system here in the back. So I'm really excited. We've really been working hard on that. We've been digging for days and weeks, but it's all about to come together. We're going to start putting some pipe together, and I'm going to start showing you guys how all this goes together, and just show you what a difference having Rainbird for your product versus some of the competitors. It really makes a difference. So again, guys, thank you for hanging around for this one. That's going to do it for this one. We'll see you in the next one.